Hey guys, today we're going to do a 10-minute core workout that's focused around hip pain. So whether you're dealing with anterior hip pain, hip flexor irritation, TFL irritation, FAI, or labral tear, whatever it is, a lot of times the treatment plans are core strength, gluteal strength, but there's so many different ways you can go about doing that. Some of the abdominal exercises or core work can even aggravate those injuries. So what I'm going to do today is show some of my favorite exercises that I prescribe for my patients that are typically pretty friendly for the hip structures. So let's get into it. For the 10-minute workout, we're going to do 5 exercises, and we're going to do them for 1 minute each, twice. So it's a full 10-minute circuit. If you want to take a break after that 5th exercise to maybe allow yourself to rest and recover for 30 seconds to 60 seconds, that's fine. But for higher level work, we're going to try and roll through the 5 workouts twice for a total of 10 minutes. And each exercise is going to be biasing one side. So I have my watch set here for 30 seconds. So we're going to do the work for 30 seconds, switch sides, and that'll be the full minute, rolling right into the next exercise. The first movement is going to be a dead bug, which is going to be biasing a little bit into my hip flexor, so we'll show some modifications to this movement too. But to decrease the amount of tension into my hip flexor and promote a bit more abdominal activation, the typical dead bug will look something like this, where we're up 90 degrees, straight up forward from our arms here. And our goal is going to be for our normal dead bug would be to drop opposite arm, opposite leg towards the floor, alternating sides. But for this exercise, when we start the movement, we're going to take one hand, put it on the opposite knee, and give a good push into that opposite knee. And you'll notice that when you do that, you're engaging the abdominals a bit better than if you're just static here, raising up and down. So take your right hand, you're going to put it on your left knee. I'm going to do a small pelvic tilt into the ground here. I'm going to press into my hand and knee here. Other arm is going to go above. And then for 30 seconds, we're going to rep out that single-sided dead bug with that constant tension through our abdominals here. So 3, 2, 1. Right hand, left knee, left hand up, press, and we're going to drop and raise for 30 seconds here. And you can tell as I'm going here, that extra engagement is definitely difficult, but because I'm recruiting a bit more of my abdominals, I'm taking some of the strain out of my hip flexor. The dead bug or leg drop raises exercises typically tend to be a little bit irritating to the hip flexor for that anterior hip pain. So this is a great little modification to do. And then we're going to switch sides. My timer went off. Left hand, right knee, right hand to the sky, and we're going to drop. Always keeping tension through those little abdominals. If you still are getting some anterior hip pain with this movement, instead of making the leg long, keep the knee bent and just drop the heel. Sometimes that long lever of the leg can be a bit irritating to that hip flexor, but hopefully with this extra engagement, you're able to pull through that exercise without any discomfort. And then we're going to switch exercises here into this high plank position. Quick demonstration first. We're going to be in a push-up position, so hips low, low abdominals tight, glutes squeezed, just like if I was going to do a push-up. But from here, we're going to do a hip extension and then move into abduction, back into neutral, and back to the floor. So we're just going to rep out that movement there. But you can see, because I'm in this high plank, it's a great anti-extension move. So it's still low abdominals, but I'm getting great co-contraction for my posterior chain too. So my low back, erector spinae, glutes, all those stabilizing structures. And then as I go into single leg stance here, it's going to be a good stress into my glute and into that anterior chain. It's a great well-rounded exercise. So we're going to start that up in 3, 2, 1. So high plank, core is set, hips are low, raise, out, in, down, raise, out, in, down. And you can see as you get more and more tired, the hips will get high in the air, or you're going to lose the integrity of the spine and drop here. So keep the abs tight so that you're maximizing hip extension, abduction, and down. We're going to switch sides here. Now we're going to raise the left side, abs tucked, hip extended, abducted, back, down. You can see I'm not doing this super fast. I don't need to rep these out. The idea is the longer I'm on that 3-limb stance, the more my core is working. And the longer I can do this sustained hold, I get more time under tension into my posterior chain and my glute of that working left leg. The next move is going to be a Mcgill curl up. So we're going to start on our back, hands behind the small of our back here, one knee bent. And we're going to perform this curling motion to the sky. 3, 2, 1. So you can see I'm pressing into the hands and lifting more or less up to the sky. Sometimes the cue I'll use is to try to kiss the ceiling because my force is more up than it is rounding forward. A progression of this could be to take the hands off the low back across the chest, and you'll see, because I can't use my hands to leverage off of, we're going to switch here. It's harder for me to get that same excursion to the sky, but I really feel my lower abdominals trying to pull up here. So whichever is more comfortable for you, whatever you can do without any discomfort, but you can see I'm still trying to shoot up to the sky, trying to keep this leg down as best I can. 8 seconds here. Trying to keep the chin tucked so I don't lead with my neck and get excessive strain into my upper cervical spine. Next, we're going to go into a side plank. We're going to have our knees bent to start, so I'm still in a straight line. My top leg is going to be straight, and I'm going to push off my knee, elbow into this plank. Okay, and then from here, we're going to do either repetitive hip abduction raises, shooting that leg behind us, or a sustained hold for 30 seconds. So you can see I'm starting here, knees bent, top knee is straight, my head is oriented in neutral, and I'm raising up and down, trying to keep that tension. So I'm pushing off my left knee, and I can feel that in my left glute, I can feel that in my left oblique, and I'm also feeling that obviously in my right glute during this hip abduction raise. 5 seconds here. And then we're going to switch sides. And you can see from this angle, my goal is to shoot this top leg behind me a little bit, not out in front into this crunch or hip flexor kind of bias movement. I want to shoot that back almost like towards 11 o'clock on a clock face. So for me, from my point of view, if this is 1, 12, 11, I want to shoot back towards 11 o'clock. Finally, the last exercise on our circuit is going to be a single leg bridge. So we're going to be on our back, and we can either perform this into a single leg bridge and hold here, and you can see I'm mainly trying to feel and fine tune this hip extension pattern here to where I'm able to raise to the sky, keep my whole foot flat on the ground, feel tripod foot, and glute activation. So we're going to do this in 3, 2, 1. Up, nice and high, into this march. We're trying to hold this high hip height as long as we can for 30 seconds. I can make this a bit easier by keeping my hands flat the whole time. It's going to give me a bit of a wider base to not have to stabilize onto. It's also going to allow me to kind of recruit some of my larger posterior chain muscles to keep me a little bit higher as well. You can also perform this exercise into repetitive movements. So repetitive single leg bridges. You can also, we're going to switch here. You can also perform this in a regressed version, this cook bridge. If you feel like holding this position is a little rough for the non-working hip flexor, you can perform the cook bridge, which is you holding the knee, still working into extension. And now my hand is doing a bit more of the work for my hip flexor. Again, trying to maximize that hip height. The difference from here to here is a few more degrees of hip extension to maximize that glute shortening. And then lower slow. So now you can either rest for 30 seconds or just repeat the same circuit straight through, 30 seconds and 30 seconds each side for a total of 10 minutes. So if you're struggling with these movements and you feel like that was hard work, that's fine. You can stay here and just perform the 5-minute circuit, building into another round. So another way to challenge it is just to minimize this rest break and just start from the top straight through and see how close to 10 minutes you can get without as many rest breaks in between switching the exercises. Hope this was helpful. All you're going to do is repeat from the top here, and hopefully you feel like the strain to the hips is pretty minimal, but you still have a really, really good 360-degree stimulation for your whole core, everything from rib cage to pelvis to femur, and that's what's going to stabilize your